So guess what? Mike wrote an article. Yep, on guns and racism. Yep, you heard me right. And what's racism have to do with guns? Well, hang in there, folks. You'll find out here in just a moment. First, I want to tell you about self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there's no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. Gun owners should have coverage for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. While you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year, with a comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Hey, guess what, Gun Owner Radio listeners? You can get a free T-shirt when you join. Use promo code Gun Owners Radio at uslawshield.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. And tell all your friends. Do I dare talk about who the winner is from last week?
Yeah, do we have a winner?
We did this last time, too. Don't be banging on the drum. Look at the deer in the headlight.
We're going to announce the winner at a later
right
date.
Along, let's talk about Michael Schwartz riding in the illustrious Union Tribune.
The Union Tribune, yeah. So I wrote an op-ed. The Union Tribune was kind enough to
You're the first
publish
person I've ever met that wrote an op-ed. I'm
What do you
serious. I hear people talking about writing op-eds. I've never met one.
Here I am.
I'm excited.
This is what we look like.
I'll get my autograph later. Okay?
So the idea was to talk about institutional racism. Are you familiar? What do you know? Have you heard institutional racism? Do you know what institutional racism refers to?
I'm going to play dumb. No.
So institutional racism, basically, you have the left side of the political spectrum, you have the right side of the political spectrum, and they're both talking a lot about institutional racism. And the left side of the spectrum is saying, hey, we're going to base our entire political foundation on the idea that there is institutional racism. The right side of the spectrum is basically saying it doesn't exist, it's ridiculous, we don't believe in it. And I have yet to really find anybody that has really truly done, on either side, has really truly kind of dug down and figured out, well, what does it mean? What exactly are we talking about when we talk about institutional racism? It's just yet another issue out there where, we draw a line in the sand and everybody picks a side, and it's usually the Republicans on this side and the Democrats on that side. So institutional racism, what I wrote in the article, is it describes the negative, debilitating effects implemented by an institution, such as a government, on a particular racial group. So this article we're not making the case that there is or is not institutional racism. That's not the point of the article. The point of the article is to discover, okay, well, this is what they're talking about when they talk about institutional racism. Negative, debilitating effects implemented by an institution like the government on a particular racial group. And we're going to see, okay, well, what's an example of that in the gun world? Does it exist? Well, the reality is it absolutely exists. If you believe in institutional racism, first off, if you don't believe in institutional racism, you probably already are against, restrictive gun laws. So this article isn't for you.
Right.
It's not for you. It wasn't written, with you as an audience. So I'm not going to. So there's a lot of people since this article that came out that want to have a discussion with me over whether or not institutional racism exists. That's not the article.
Right.
And it's not a tongue-in-cheek article. It's a very serious article. This is a concept that the other side who is typically very much in favor of restricting your right to keep and bear arms,
Sure.
They believe in this concept. They believe in this, so much that it's the foundation of a lot of their political philosophy. Okay, so let's take that philosophy and let's just talk to people who believe in that philosophy. So I came up with a couple of facts. For example, in 2018, 56.2% of those convicted of federal firearms violations were black, and 96.3% were men. The average age convicted was 32. Huge portion. I mean, if you look at the country, maybe 6 or 7% of the population are black men, and even a much smaller percentage are 32 or around the age 32. However, 56.2 of the jails are black, and 96% of those were men. That's huge. I came up with a couple other. 2017, the California Department of Corrections reported that 28.5% of the state's male prisoners were African American, when only 5.6% of California's adult male population is black. More than 20% of prisoners in federal prisons have weapons offenses. So what I'm doing here with these facts after defining, okay, here's what institutional racism is. Now let's look at some facts about the justice system. Well, turns out that a lot of black men, especially young black men, and I didn't have as near as many statistics, but a lot of people of color in general, so Hispanic, black, Asian, a lot of young people of color are being convicted of crimes that have to do with firearms and being put in jail for a really long time. And then when they come out of jail, they're a felon. And when you're a felon, there are all kinds of consequences. There are jobs you can't get. You've already spent time away from your family, 10, 15, 20 years. So you have a whole community of people whose father wasn't there. They were in jail. They were convicted of some kind of firearms crime, right? Okay, so what is that doing? Well, it's destroying communities. It's destroying communities. And if you look at, okay, well, where are all these firearms laws coming from? Well, California has a disproportionate amount of firearms laws on the books. So you have a state that has a ton of firearms laws, okay? And as a result has a ton of people in jail because of these firearms laws. And if you look at the people who are in jail in California or on the federal level in California, they're in jail because of these firearms laws. If you look at the makeup of those people, they're typically men, and they're typically people of color, especially black men. So given all those facts and given everything that they've said about institutional racism, the laws that are being proposed at the state level and especially at the federal level now, and the laws that are already on the books in California, like assault weapons bans and different types of carry bans. I mean, the endless gun laws in California. The conclusion that you have to come to if you believe in institutional racism is that restrictive gun laws like they have in California and like they're proposing nationally is going to spread and enable and further institutional racism. So the same people out there that have built their political foundation on the idea that institutional racism exists also want to spread institutional racism by more gun laws and spreading them to all 50 states.
And hopefully everybody really listened to what you said, because the percentages you gave, the word murder was not in that conversation at all. You're talking about these folks that either had a gun illegally, had maybe in their car.
Well, it could be all the above. It could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's not all murder.
Right.
That the reason all these black men are in prison is because they killed everybody.
Well, murder's horrible, and we want people
Without
committed.
a doubt.
Yeah, we want people who committed murder to be in jail. But imagine you had some kind of low-level violation. You were pulled over for something. You were maybe in a fight.
Or my dad gave me a gun, and I never registered it.
Well, no, forget that, though. Just imagine you're doing some kind of low-level misdemeanor, right? And while they're investigating that misdemeanor,
they find a gun.
Now they've found some kind of federal or some kind of a felony violation on firearms. So maybe you would have gone to court and gotten a fine. Now you're in jail for 10 years, and you're a felon.
Gotcha.
See what I mean? So not only are they going to jail because of firearms violations, but they're going to jail for a much longer time and much higher consequences. And so, okay, fine. You're telling me that's destroying communities. Great. Then stop
doing it.
Well, stop advocating for stricter gun laws, because that is, by your definition, institutional racism.
Wow.
There's no way to argue against that.
And there's people that want to talk to you about this?
Well, you just did, Dave.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
That's all that's important to me.
That's all that's important. All right, folks. Wow. That's
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.